Sometimes evil is genetic. Lucy Beland, also known as Ma Beland, was based in Fort Worth, Texas, and she and her offspring sold a lot of things. We're talking things that help make pain go away, no snow, spicy spoon juice. If I sound like a Looney Tunes character, I apologize. Ma was the leader of this crime family, and these members were convicted of a lot of crimes around substances, and by a lot I mean like at least 30 times between 1921 to 1947. In 1908, the family moved from Grandview to Fort Worth, eventually settling in the Arlington Heights neighborhood. What do you know? Willie and Cora were arrested for shoplifting from department stores in 1912. Willie was arrested again in 1912 for possession of no snow, 1913 stealing dresses. Willie and Cora charged yet again with theft in 1914. Willie was later quoted in the Star-Telegram as saying that she was definitely too young when she first tried substances that help the pain go away, because at the time it cost only 25 cents for a big bottle. From 1921 to 1947, members of this family were convicted of crimes at least 30 times. Like, how, folks, how? Terrorized settlers in a remote, sparsely populated territory west of some very popular mountains immediately after the American Revolution. The brothers had stayed loyal to the British Crown during the struggle and may have decided that they had better move west after the American victory. They survived by robbing and taking the lives of settlers who were beginning to cultivate the area and appeared to have thoroughly enjoyed the taken lives part. Well, one brother passed away of his wounds when a posse caught up with them in 1799. The other one escaped but was captured in 1804, went the way of the rope necklace. The Murdaugh family is an American family from the Low Country region of South Carolina. 3 generations, named Randolph Murdaugh, served consecutively as circuit solicitor, which was the elected prosecuting attorney for the state's 14th Judicial District between 1920 to 2006. The family's prominence led locals to call the 5-county district Murdaugh Country. In addition to the legal positions, Randolph Murdaugh Sr. established the Murdaugh family law firm, now called Parker Law Group, which specializes in personal injury litigation. A 4th-generation son, very popular lawyer Richard Alexander, or Alex, secretly led a life of crime that included acts of fraud, corruption, embezzlement, theft, and a lot of offenses, spanning decades, involving dozens of victims, many of whom were sadly disadvantaged. The crimes culminated in 2021 when Alex took the life of his wife Maggie and son Paul, using a lot of weapons at close range. The trial ended with his conviction and sentencing to 2 consecutive life sentences in prison without the possibility of parole. Operating in the early 1900s, the Parr machine functioned on bribery, graft, and illegal donations. Political support came from the southernmost counties in Texas. The machine could produce large numbers of votes, both legal and illegal, from the impoverished and uneducated. These are their quotes, folks. Working class folks. While the Parr machine had always asserted undue influence over the county's affairs, it wasn't until Archer Parr that its leadership felt safely secure to overwhelm the remaining independent white farmers by appealing directly to the county's new Mexican-American majority by offering them jobs, and in some cases, cash directly from the county coffers in exchange for political support. George Parr engaged in the graft, bribery, and fraud that are often associated with political machines. He was a partner and silent partner in a lot of businesses. He was convicted of tax evasion in 1932, eventually served just 9 months in an institution. The servant selling trade was all Isaac Franklin ever knew. Right around the time the United States passed a law barring the transatlantic trade, Franklin and his older brothers grew interested in the domestic version, so they began transporting small numbers of people between Virginia and the Deep South. Franklin worked with a couple of partners over the years, but connected with his longest-lasting collaborator, the man who became his closest friend, confidant, and nephew by marriage in the early 1820s. So at the time, John Armfield was lacking in purpose. Shiftless, footloose, he had recently been chased away from a county in North Carolina for fathering an offspring out of wedlock. So he didn't know what to do, and he was like, hey, you know what? I know what I don't want to do. I don't want to farm. So, floundering about after that whole scandal, he's like, you know what? I'll just dabble in the trade. I'll give it a try. So Franklin and Armfield met a couple of years after that in the course of business, and immediately they were like, I like you. Let's do this together. There was an intimacy there, and it continued for decades. It fueled their profitability. In 1834, the 2 men became family when Armfield married Franklin's niece. The Catt family, Ronald Scott Catt, and eventually his two offspring, Hayden and Abigail, were responsible for a number of bank robberies in the Portland, Oregon, and Houston, Texas areas. After the death of his wife, Catt was facing financial difficulties due in part to his multiple substance addictions and unstable employment history, so he decided to bolster the family income by robbing banks. Catt and his family committed several robberies, all occurring while the family lived a seemingly typical middle-class American life. Starting fresh in Texas in 2012, Catt, now with the help of both of his offspring, decided to embark on a crime spree. And in the meantime, the family was like, hey, we're just normal people. The first robbery that Scott perpetrated with the help of the family occurred at a bank in Harris County on August 9th of 2012. Scott and Hayden entered the bank wearing hats, sunglasses, masks, gloves, coveralls. They had some lethal-looking weapons. Abigail waited outside in the family car. Of course, it had stolen plates, it was ready to go. Second robbery, November 9th, 2012, First Community Credit Union. And because preliminary observations of the intended target showed a construction project was taking place nearby, everybody was disguised accordingly. Safety vests, sunglasses, Hayden had a fake mustache, Scott had a mask, Abigail once again drove the getaway vehicle. Together, these robberies netted the family $170,000. The Clay crime family was formed by Lincoln in 1968 as a result of his desire for revenge against Sal Marcano and the Marcano crime family for killing his family. Throughout the summer and fall of 1968, Lincoln waged his war on Sal's operations, dismantling them one by one and putting his own people in their place. Afterwards, Lincoln met with Leo Galante, who came to New Bordeaux on behalf of the Commission. If you know, folks, you know. After Lincoln assured Leo that he had no quarrel with them, they came to an agreement. Lincoln can have New Bordeaux run it any way he pleases, as long as he kicks up a little 20% to the Commission once a month. The family runs various rackets in all 9 districts of New Bordeaux, covering everything from auto theft to waste disposal, including a lucrative grow house in the region. Edward Harold Bell was an American offender, took some lives, and the first fugitive to be featured in the Texan rendition of America's Most Wanted. According to his claims, his father frequently moved the family around and, didn't do some great things to a lot of people. Bell would claim in later interviews that his father encouraged him to do violent crime. We're talking robbing banks, taking advantage of people, and taking lives. After graduation, he found work as a licensed diver, married his first wife, they moved to Texas, happy family. Following his capture in Panama City in 1993, he was extradited, convicted, and got a heavy sentence. One Christmas morning, Bobby Bogle woke up to a heavy metal wrench in a plain brown paper bag under the tree. Later that day, he and his brothers used it to break into a local grocery store, steal some things, and they made their dad proud. He was a career criminal who went by the name Rooster. The family crime spree spanned 4 generations, crossed multiple states. We're talking all over. There was ancestors who were moonshiners, carnival workers. We're talking hundreds of felonies, folks. Every genre of lawness. And lastly for today, we got a chosen family. Rick and Susanna Wamsley sadly met the end of their lives on December 11th of 2003 in their home, and it was part of a thing that involved their son, Andrew, and 2 others. So originally they were hit by, a tiny thing, and then people used more force, and this was part of a scheme orchestrated by Andrew, his girlfriend Chelsea, and a Susanna, because, well, they wanted the house. They also wanted to kill Andrew's sister. They also wanted to take the life of Andrew's sister, but she wasn't home. Oh dear. And that's all for today, folks. I've been Alexa. See ya.